Hi viewers, my name is Brian Isajachisto, a tutor of Information and Communication Technology in Uganda. I'm going to take you through this tutorial of computer hardware, the background of computer hardware. Computer hardware, first of all, comes from what we call a computer system. A computer system is a collection of related entities that may include hardware, software, humanware, among others. All these components are supposed to come together to help in one goal, that is data processing. We have hardware, communication, humanware, data, and software as the components of a computer system. These all are supposed to come together to help in data processing. Computer hardware is a collection of all parts of a computer that are touched, that can be touched. For example, a monitor that you can see with your naked eyes. Okay. Some hardware components are easy to recognize. Like I've told you, the monitor is very easy to recognize, the mouse, the system case, among others. However, there are many different types of computer hardwares that that by the end of this tutorial we shall come to see how to recognize them and know what they do and how they perform what they do. Computer hardware basically is categorized into four main categories: input, processing, storage, and output. Input hardware devices. Input hardware devices are broadly grouped into two main categories. We have the manual input devices and the automatic input devices. The manual input devices need a hand of a user for the data to be entered into the computer, whereas the automatic input devices here do not need external support for them to enter the data into the computer. You take an example of a keyboard, numerical keypads, the mouse, the remote controls. You need to direct the remote. You press the remote for the data to enter into the machine. Whereas on the other side of automatic input devices, you look at a magnetic strip card reader, the barcode readers that are used basically in supermarkets, the optical character recognition devices. These devices have automatic data entry into the computer. Input devices are further grouped into other categories based on the type of data that they enter into the computer. Basically, we shall look at the text input devices, the audio input devices, the video input devices, biometric devices, and the gaming devices or pointing devices. Text input devices. Text is a general word for all characters such as letters, symbols, numerical digits, and marks that are used in typing. These combine to form words, paragraphs, sentences. Therefore, there are a variety of devices that help users to input data into a computer. For example, you look at a keyboard, voice recognition devices, optical character recognition devices, magnetic ink character recognition devices, the RFID, radio frequency identification devices. These all enter text data into the computer. First of all, we shall look at the keyboard. Basically, when we are defining computer hardware or hardware devices or computer devices anyway, we shall first of all define them by what they do, two, how they do what they do, and basically, what type of data do they deal with. We are looking at a keyboard, and in defining a keyboard, we are saying a keyboard is a text input device. This is what they do. They input what type of data, text data, into the computer. The keyboard has a number of keys that are supposed to help in performing its activities. The keyboard has a number of parts that help it in its performance. Functional keys from function 1 to function 12. These are functional keys. Ladies and gentlemen, you realize that we have This the biggest part of the keyboard that is called the QWERTY part, or alphanumerical keys, or typewriter keys. These are keys that are basically used in the entering of data. When typing, you use these keys. Some we call them alphanumerical because they have alphabetical letters from A up to Z. A is here. However, they are not organized in the alphabetical order, but all the alphabetical keys are here. Numerical because they have 1, 2, 3, and 4 up to 0. Arrow keys, or what you call the direction or navigation keys. These keys here that are used to move up, down, sideways. And these are direction keys that are used to navigate through the page. A numerical key part that has numbers. The keyboard has advantages and disadvantages. Ladies and gentlemen, the keyboard is very common. Therefore, it is easy to use, easy to afford. You can find it anywhere. Therefore, it becomes a very common device in entering data. Entering data using a keyboard is faster compared to a mouse. Keyboards are more reliable compared to voice input devices and the mouse. However, the keyboard requires a lot of time to master where these keys. Remember, we say these keys are not organized in alphabetical order. The keys can easily get faulty due to dust entering them. And lastly, some keyboards are very hard. Therefore, pressing them will become a complex idea for all of us. Voice recognition, or sometimes referred to as speech recognition devices, these recognize sound. They recognize sound or spoken words and convert them into text. Therefore, this text is stored into the computer. Advantages and disadvantages. No typing is required. Voice recognition can be used by people who are disabled, those who do not have hands but can speak. Dictating is, of course, faster than typing. And the voice recognition systems are also ideal for the blind. Those people who cannot see the letters on the keyboard can easily speak and their voices will be recognized. Therefore, they can be able to interact with the computer. The demerits of voice recognition devices, the error rate is very high. Words with the same pronunciation, like C and C, cannot easily be distinguished by the computer. If I want to mean C of SEE, the computer will not easily distinguish between the C of SEE and C of SENA. Ladies and gentlemen, speech recognition does not work well in noisy areas. If there is distortion from the environment, the surrounding areas, the voice recognition equipment will not work well. Other text input devices such as optical mark recognition devices, hand-drawn marks such as small circles, dots, or rectangles. A person places these marks on a form such as tests, survey, and questionnaires. Data can be easily obtained from these questionnaires, survey reports, and so on using the optical mark recognition devices. This is the same tool that we use when marking computer objectives. The barcode reader, ladies and gentlemen, this one is very common to all of us. We basically find this in big supermarkets like Game, Gogo, ShopRite. They are optical devices that read using a laser beam to read bars. These bars here, these bars are coded in computers and the data is stored there. The optical character recognition, the magnetic ink character recognition devices. We have the magnetic strip card readers, the pointing devices. Pointing devices, these are input devices that enter data by moving a pointer on the screen of the computer to select and command the computer to perform. We have examples like the cordless mouse and the wired mouse. We have the touchpad, we have the stylus and digitizing tablets, trackball, joystick, touch screens. We have a mouse. A mouse is a handheld device of a computer. The mouse has basically 3 buttons. If you have a look at this mouse here, and it is actually pointing in the right direction. The mouse has basically 3 buttons. I hold up my 2 fingers here, and one of them is representing my left hand and the other one representing my right hand. So this first finger here represents my left hand, and this second finger represents my right hand. So when you look at this mouse here, this one will act as the left click mouse button, and this one will act as the right click mouse button. The middle button here is what you call the scroll or mouse techniques. There is what we call clicking. When you press the mouse once, you click. Double clicking, you press the mouse twice without a speed lag. You press the mouse twice quickly. That is double clicking a known location. Reading is the process of obtaining data from a known location back to the user. Storage refers to the process of keeping data. Backup is creating a secondary copy or a second copy of the original for future reference, or for in case the original copy is damaged, you run to the backup copy. And a backup is a duplicate copy. A bit, now this one comes to storage. How is data stored? In which quantities is data stored? The bit is the smallest unit of storing data. A byte is the standard unit of measuring data. A nibble is a group of 4 bits of storage: primary memory and secondary memory. Categories of secondary storage. Secondary storage is basically categorized into 3 main categories. There is what we call solid state storage devices, magnetic storage devices, and the optical storage devices. Magnetic storage devices, these ones use magnetism force to store, to keep their data. Take an example of the fixed hard disk or external hard disk, floppy disks, and magnetic tapes. They have magnetic material on which the data is written. We have optical storage media. The optical storage media is in most cases flat, round, portable storage mediums made of steel or plastic material. These devices are used to store data by use of optical material that reads or writes. Take an example of the CD-ROM, the DVDs, CDs are CD-RW, DVD-RAM, and the Blu-ray discs. Care for optical devices. When we are taking care of optical devices, these devices are very sensitive, since the devices that read or write the data onto these devices use a small device that is called the eye. This eye is very sensitive, therefore we need to take care of the optical storage devices. Do not expose them to direct sun rays, do not expose them to wet surfaces or water. Do not touch their shiny parts, because as you touch them, you will cause cracks there, and those cracks will not be easily read by the eye, therefore damaging the data that is stored there. Keep them in their protective gears, in the protective boxes, the protective cases for those storage devices. Solid state storage medias consist of entirely electronic component and contain no moving parts. Take an example of the memory cards, the flash disks, USB flash disks. These cards that are normally used in the video cameras, these micro cards that are used in your mobile phones. Those recent mobile phones have a provision for this kind of card. The USB flash drives. These are small, lightweight, removable storage devices that are plugged into a USB port, and data is capable of moving from the flash to the central processing unit for reference or for use. Other storage media include the photographic films, those films that were used in the ancient cameras. Characteristics of storage media. We have storage capacity. This is the amount of data that a storage medium can hold for a particular time. For example, a USB flash can hold 2 GB, 1 GB, 4, 8, 16, 32. These small SD cards can also hold up to 8 GB, 64 units of storage capacity. 8 little bits make up 1 byte. 1 byte stores approximately 1 character. This is in data storage. A kilobyte is 2 power 10. Therefore, a kilobyte is equivalent to 1024 bytes, approximately 1000 bytes. The megabyte is 1024 kilobytes, or 2 power 20 bytes, approximately 1 million bytes. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 GB is 1024 megabytes, or 2 power 30 bytes, approximately 1 billion bytes. 1 terabyte is equivalent to 1024 gigabytes, or 2 power 40 bytes. That is approximately 1 trillion bytes. Access time. Access time is the measure of amount of time it takes for a storage device to locate an item on a storage medium. The access time of a storage device is low compared with the access time of memory. Why? Memory is already in the computer. Therefore, the CPU will easily access the memory that is close to it than accessing the device that is being installed onto the computer. Ways of accessing data on a storage medium. There are basically 2 types of accessing data on a storage medium. There is what we call sequential data access and what we call random data access. Sequential is common in optical storage devices where data is stored in a sequence, and accessing this data will follow a specific sequence, after which A to B, B to C. Whereas random data access, as you open a flash disk, the flash disk will display for you all the files that are on that disk, and you will choose randomly which file you want to open. Primary storage devices, or what you call memory chips. Computer's memory in the system unit consists of 1 or more chips physically close to the CPU to decrease the access time. The system unit contains 2 types of memory, what we call the volatile memory and also the non-volatile memory, what you call the RAM and the ROM. The differences between RAM and ROM. RAM is volatile memory of a computer, whereas ROM is the non-volatile memory of the computer. RAM is a temporary memory, whereas ROM is the permanent. Data that is stored in RAM can be lost when power goes off, whereas the data that is stored in ROM is never lost. Ladies and gentlemen, RAM can be increased. RAM is read and write, whereas ROM cannot be increased. We have some other types of memory, such as the buffer memory, that is found in input and output devices. Input data is held or accumulated in input buffers, while processed output is held in output buffers. The CMOS, this is a type of memory that holds data that is frequently accessed by the computer, such as system time and so on and so forth. The flash memory. Advantages of secondary storage devices. Secondary storage devices are cheaper. Secondary storage devices provide high storage capacity. Secondary storage devices facilitate data movement from place to place, and data stored in secondary storage is very secure and is kept private. Therefore, unauthorized users cannot access this data that is stored on secondary storage devices. Output hardware devices. These devices that are used to display, to bring out information to the user. We shall define them as components of a computer that can display, bring out information to the user. You can take a look at them here. We have the CRT monitors, the flat screen monitors, we have printers, we have projectors, we have speakers, and so on and so forth. These output devices are going to be grouped also into basically 3 or 4. Where we have text output devices, we have graphical output devices, we have audio output devices, and video output devices. Display devices, these are used to display both text, images, videos to the users. They include monitors, and monitors can be grouped into basically 3. We have the CRT monitors, the plasma screen monitors, and the LCD monitors. The cathode ray tube contains a large sealed glass of cathode ray tube. Inside the CRT tube, an electron beam moves back and forth across the back of the screen. This causes a dot on the front of the screen to glow, producing an image on the screen. Each dot contains a red, green, and blue phosphor which combine to make a pixel. A pixel is a single point of an electron image in a display unit. Characteristics of cathode ray tube monitors. Each dot on the display unit consists of a red, green, and blue phosphor. These combine to form a dot on the screen, which also makes up what you call a pixel. CRT screens have slightly curved screens. CRT monitors have slightly curved screens. They consume a lot of power and are cheap. CRT monitors have a wide range of angle of view. You can easily read from that screen from any angle. Advantages and disadvantages of the CRT monitors. They are fast and produce very nice colors. Can be viewed from a wide angle, and they are cheap. However, they have some disadvantages, like they emit high electromagnetic radiations, EMR rays, that will harm human eyes, human body, and so on. Therefore, consume a lot of power. CD monitors in your local languages. They have tiny crystals that reflect light falling on them from the environment. Examples of LCD monitors are plasma screens and the LCD. This is a plasma screen. Data projectors, these are devices that take images displayed on a small screen of a computer like this one and project that data onto a wider screen. We have head-mounted display devices or headgears. These are also output devices that are used basically in 3D world to display data. We have what you call the LED lights or LED display devices, which use light emitting diodes as a video display. The light emitting diode panel may be a small display or component of a large display. Some of them are used to show when the computer is on or off. Used to show when the computer is properly functioning or not functioning. Terms that are used with display devices, we have the resolution. That is the number of horizontal and vertical pixels that a display device can hold. The higher the resolution, the greater the number of pixels, and the greater the output. We have the dots per inch or pixel pitch. We have the monochrome and color display. Monochrome meaning one color, and the color displays. These have a variety of colors. The refresh rate is the speed at which the monitor relays or redraws images on the screen. That is what you call the refresh rate. Advantages and disadvantages of display devices. The time to display an image is fast. Screen displays can include text, graphics, and colors. Display devices are usually quiet, and no paper is actually needed. Therefore, there is no wastage of paper. However, these display devices have disadvantages, like they can harm our lives, they consume power, they need a separate device to produce sound, and hard copy. Printers. A printer is an output device that produces data in a tangible format, such as the paper. Printers are grouped into basically two categories. What you call the impact printers and non-impact printers. Impact printers, these are printers that produce output by having their print heads physically touching the print medium, the pen touching a paper. That is the basic example that you will take for an impact printer. The print head must physically touch the print medium for output. Examples may include the daisy wheel printer, the dot matrix printer, the braille printer, the line printer. Non-impact printers form characters or graphics on a piece of paper without actually striking the medium or the paper. Some use spraying of ink, while others use heat or pressure to create images on the paper. Examples of non-impact printers include laser jet printers. Inkjet printers form characters and graphics by spraying tiny dots of liquid ink onto a piece of paper. The picture is there. Laser jet printers, we have the thermal printers, we have plotters. These ones are used for wide range of graphics printing, and so on and so forth. We have the mobile printers also. There are some other terms that are used with printers, like toner, that is used by laser printers or photocopiers to form printed text and images on paper. DPI, dots per inch, the measure of numbers of individual dots that are printed in a line. Hard copy, this is the tangible piece of paper that is generated out of a printer. Page orientation, the layout of a page. Is it in this format, in the longitudinal format? The layout, that is portrait. Is it in the landscape format? That is the landscape. Okay. There is also what we call factors that you should consider when buying a specific type of printer. The cost of a printer, the space to be occupied by the printer, the size of a print paper that can be used by this printer that you are buying, and the availability of printer drives, availability of spare parts for the printer, audio output devices. These are devices that produce audio information from the computer. Information that is produced by computers can come out via speakers that are external, and some are internal speakers. we have headphones and the earphones. Those all can help in producing the audio output. Headphones and the earphones. Other output devices that you look at are interactive whiteboards, LED displays, multifunctional peripheral devices, and fax machines. An interactive whiteboard is similar to a touch screen board. It allows users to feed data into that screen. These can also act as both input and the output. Some examiners will trick you by asking you for I/O devices, input/output devices. These are devices that do both inputting and the outputting. Okay? For example, my touch screen here, if I touch the screen, it will move to the next screen. That is interactive. And the interactive whiteboard, then when you look at a multifunctional printer, it allows printing, photocopying, and the scanning. It does 3 things. The next time we meet, ladies and gentlemen, we shall be discussing computer software.